October 1907. A young man stands outside the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, reading a letter that will change the world. Welcome to History Unwritten. Today, what if Adolf Hitler had been accepted into art school? And the world we almost had. The 18-year-old from Austria has just received his second rejection from the Academy. The review board calls his work unsatisfactory, lacking in human figures, too architectural. He is crushed, humiliated, furious. This moment of artistic failure will push him toward politics, toward hatred, toward a path that leads to the deadliest war in human history. But what if that letter had been different? What if the Academy had seen potential instead of mediocrity? What if they had said yes? In our timeline, this rejection sends Hitler spiraling. His mother dies of cancer weeks later. He becomes homeless in Vienna, sleeping in shelters, selling postcards of his paintings on street corners. He grows bitter, blaming Jews and liberals for his failures, soaking up the anti-Jewish hatred that flows through Vienna's cafes and newspapers. By 1914, he is a nobody, a failed artist who will soon volunteer for the German army in World War I. That war will give him purpose, comrades, and eventually, a twisted political mission. But none of that has to happen. In our alternate timeline, the letter says yes. The Academy Board sees something in those architectural drawings, a precision and dedication worth nurturing. Hitler enters the Academy in October 1907 as a first-year student. His life takes a completely different turn. He finds structure, mentorship, a community of fellow artists. When his mother dies that December, he has professors and classmates who support him through his grief instead of facing it alone on the streets. He throws himself into his studies. The Academy teaches him to draw human figures, to capture emotion, to move beyond rigid buildings into living scenes. His work improves. More importantly, he finds validation. The chip on his shoulder, that burning resentment that will fuel his hatred in our timeline, never fully forms. He is not a brilliant artist, but he is competent, accepted, part of something. Vienna in this era is still deeply anti-Jewish, still politically toxic. But Hitler is insulated by student life. He attends lectures, critiques, exhibitions. He makes friends. Some are Jewish. When World War I breaks out in 1914, he does not rush to volunteer for Germany. He is Austrian, focused on finishing his degree, perhaps already planning his first gallery showing. The war happens without him. World War I still happens. The assassination of Austria's Archduke Franz Ferdinand in June 1914 still triggers the alliance system that pulls Europe into catastrophe. Germany, Austria, Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire fight against Britain, France, Russia, and eventually the United States. Millions still die in trenches, from poison gas, from machine gun fire. But one person is missing from the carnage. Adolf Hitler is not there. In our timeline, he serves as a message runner in the German army, earns medals for bravery, finds purpose in military brotherhood, and develops his fanatical German nationalism. The war gives him the Iron Cross, a sense of betrayal when Germany loses, and a mission to restore German greatness. None of that happens now. He is in Vienna, perhaps teaching art to children, perhaps working as an illustrator for newspapers or advertising firms. When the war ends in November 1918 with Germany's defeat, he feels no personal stake in it. Germany is forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, accepting blame for the war, paying massive financial penalties called reparations, losing territory, and reducing its military to a tiny force. Germans feel humiliated and angry. But the man who would have channeled that anger into a political movement is painting watercolors in Austria. The 1920s arrive. Germany is broken, angry, and searching for someone to blame. In our timeline, this is when Hitler joins a tiny political group in Munich called the German Workers' Party, which he transforms into the Nazi Party. He gives speeches blaming Jews for Germany's defeat, promising to make Germany powerful again, attracting followers with his rage and charisma. By 1923, he attempts a violent takeover of the government in Munich, the beer hall Putsch. It fails. He goes to prison, writes his hateful book, Mein Kampf, and plots his return. But in our alternate timeline, none of this happens. The German Workers' Party remains a fringe group of a few dozen angry men in a Munich beer hall. They have no gifted speaker, no one who can translate rage into a movement. The party dissolves by 1925. Germany still suffers through economic disaster. Hyperinflation. In 1923 makes money worthless. People carry wheelbarrows of cash to buy bread. The Great Depression hits in 1929, putting millions out of work. Germans are desperate for solutions. Various political movements rise, communists and nationalists and conservatives all fighting for power. But the Nazi Party, without Hitler, never becomes a major force. It is one angry voice among dozens, not the avalanche that will bury democracy. In our timeline, Hitler becomes Chancellor of Germany in January 1933. Within months, he destroys democracy, bans other parties, begins persecuting Jews, and starts rebuilding Germany's military in secret. By 1939, he invades Poland, triggering World War II. 85 million people die over the next 6 years. The Holocaust murders 6 million Jews in industrialized genocide. Nuclear weapons are invented and used. The world is shattered and remade. But in our alternate timeline, Germany in the 1930s takes a different path. Without the Nazis, the government remains the fragile Weimar Republic, a messy democracy with many problems, but no genocidal dictatorship. Germany probably still moves toward authoritarianism, many nations do in this era, but not the specific totalitarian nightmare of our timeline. Maybe a military government takes over, maybe a conservative coalition. Crucially, there is no systematic plan to conquer Europe and exterminate the Jews. Germany might rebuild its military gradually, might reclaim some territory lost at Versailles through negotiation, but the massive rearmament and blitzkrieg strategy that Hitler pursues does not happen. World War II, as we know it, does not occur. There might be smaller European conflicts, border skirmishes, perhaps a limited war between Germany and France or Germany and Poland, but not the apocalyptic global conflict. The Holocaust does not happen. 6 million Jews live. Millions of others, Romani people, disabled people, political prisoners, all survive. The atomic bomb might never be built, since the Manhattan Project was driven by fear of Nazi Germany getting it first. Our world today would be unrecognizable. Europe's borders would look completely different. Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, all might have survived with different boundaries. The Soviet Union might never have expanded into Eastern Europe. No Iron Curtain dividing the continent for 45 years. No Cold War as we know it. Israel might not exist, since the Holocaust was the driving force behind international support for a Jewish homeland. The entire Middle East would have a different map. The United States might not have become the global superpower it is today, since World War II was what fully mobilized American industry and military might. Japan might still be an empire in Asia. Nuclear weapons might remain a theoretical concept in physics papers, never built, never used. The world not living under the shadow of potential atomic annihilation. Tens of millions of people who died would have lived, had children, built things, created art. The demographic and cultural landscape of the entire planet would be different, and all of it hinges on one letter. One decision by an Art Academy review board in Vienna in October 1907. One young man accepted instead of rejected. One path chosen instead of another. History is not inevitable. It is fragile, contingent, shaped by moments that seem small at the time. A different word, a different choice, and everything changes. The world we live in, with all its scars and shadows from World War II, was not destined. It was one possibility among many. And the world we almost had, where that angry, rejected artist became a mediocre painter instead of a genocidal dictator, might have been unimaginably better. If you enjoyed exploring this world that almost was, give this video a like. It truly helps the channel grow. Subscribe so you never miss another alternate history deep dive. And tell me in the comments which moment in history should we rewrite next. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.